What you are about to see is a Farsight ET board meeting that occurred on the 18th of December 2024. Now, all of the Farsight remote viewers were present, plus 2 extraterrestrials from a group of extraterrestrials who we at Farsight have worked with for a good number of years. One of the extraterrestrials was male and the other female. They both looked very human in appearance, and they both wore a type of simple uniform. I have spoken at length about our history with this group of extraterrestrials numerous times elsewhere, and I will not repeat that now. We meet with representatives of this group of extraterrestrials once or twice a month, sometimes in our Farsight studios and sometimes at a secret location in the middle of the night at the beach. This meeting that you will see took place in our Farsight studios. Now, our last ET board meeting took place on the 13th of November, and we published the recording of that meeting on the 15th of November. A few days later, around the 18th of November, the swarms of sightings of UAPs or UFOs started, both in the United States and throughout the world. If you have seen our November board meeting, you know that the extraterrestrials announced that they would start the mass sightings. The ships would be clearly visible with the naked eye, and any camera would be capable of recording them, including cell phone cameras. No stealth technology would be used. Again, the meeting took place on the 13th. We published it on the 15th, and the sightings began in earnest on November 18th. You have a theory, an experiment, and a result. Now, our December ET board meeting occurred on the 18th of December. And we are publishing the video of the meeting on the 20th of December. There was a clear change of vibe in the December meeting. They were nearly giddy with delight. They loved how the UAP sightings were happening. Lots of people were seeing the ships and making video recordings of them. People were observing that the ships had no transponder signals, a violation of FAA regulations. They flew over restricted airspace at will, totally illegal. They gave no heat signature, seemingly impossible, and often flew crazy cool. Some of the objects had what looked like aviation lights, while others had no such lights, and they looked like orbs or things from a science fiction movie. They were all shapes and sizes. Now, the extraterrestrials were also interested in how chaotic the internet news was, with everyone and their uncle giving a different theory as to what was happening. The U.S. government was totally inept in explaining the objects that they insisted on calling drones. Clearly, the government knew what they were and did not want to talk about them. Moreover, the mainstream news mostly focused on the sightings that were happening in the eastern United States, while ignoring the huge number of sightings that were occurring worldwide. Now, think about this, friends. If you were an extraterrestrial group who was trying to catch the attention of the masses on Earth, would you invest huge resources in having massive flyovers all over the planet and then leave it up to the zillions of internet gurus to tell people what was happening? A zillion different stories, all conflicting? Of course not. The extraterrestrials explained that they helped create and develop Farsight to be an official and authorized outlet to explain what they are doing. They wanted a single outlet so that there would be no ambiguity as to what they are doing and saying. They knew that once people made the connection between Farsight and the extraterrestrials, the masses would have questions regarding everything, including what extraterrestrials have been doing on this planet for thousands of years. That is why they helped create the huge library of projects that we have on FarsightPrime.com. If you have not yet subscribed to FarsightPrime.com, you really should. You can get the information on FarsightPrime.com nowhere else. But the problem remained of how to help people connect the extraterrestrials with Farsight. How could you tell that there is an official connection between the so-called drone or UAP activity and us at Farsight? So, the plan is for the UAP activity to roll out in stages or waves over the next 6 or 7 months. Then, at each monthly Farsight ET board meeting, they will tell us what will happen next. We will then publish the video of the meetings on social media, and you can then see that what they announce will start a few days after that. So, there will be a meeting, a publication of the meeting, and then the next wave of ET events soon after that, and on for about 6 or 7 months. Now, in the meeting that occurred in December, the tone of the meeting was both powerful, nearly giddy with delight, and to be quite honest, lots of fun. We have never seen them so upbeat before. It was a mood that a football team would have when they march out into the field before a major game is to begin. The means of communication is always telepathic, which is the normal way of communicating among extraterrestrials of all types. It took us years at Farsight to be able to do this competently. Watch these meetings closely so that you can get a sense of how this is done. Emphatically, this is not channeling. No entity is entering the body of any Farsight member and using that body to communicate. All Farsight members are always totally in control of their own minds and bodies. It is just communication, mind to mind, but without spoken words. Now, the Farsight members then speak words in order to translate the telepathic communications so that everything can be recorded with normal microphones. And one last but very important point. Remember that we at Farsight have categorized the extraterrestrials involved in the Earth environment into 2 major groups who we call the good ETs and the bad ETs. The bad ETs have written and signed agreements with the United States government and some other governments to conduct activities here on Earth, largely involving a huge human trafficking operation that I have spoken about elsewhere. This agreement was made for help with weapons technology. Now, the good ETs are opposed to the bad ETs. The good ETs are absolutists with respect to free will. They have the military capacity to eject the bad ETs from the Earth environment, but they cannot do this unless the masses want this to happen. This is the reason why disclosure is so important. The good ETs simply want the secrecy and lies to end, and for the masses to be told the truth about what has been going on here on Earth for thousands of years. After that, the masses can decide which group of extraterrestrials they want to work with, and the good ETs can take care of the rest. Now, cutting to the chase. The extraterrestrials at our Farsight board meeting in December explained what they are going to do next, and it involves sightings with larger ships. Not the largest, but still larger than the current collection, so that there can be no ambiguity regarding who is doing this. Now, the bad ETs do not want any of this to happen, and they are working with their human collaborators in the U.S. government to continue to muddy the waters in all sorts of ways. The good ETs will adapt to each new thing that the bad ETs do with their human collaborators, and on it will go one wave after another throughout the summer of 2025. But the next wave involves larger ships, and you are supposed to go outside and see them. Remember to bring your camera. That is what is up next. Please follow our Farsight ET board meeting each month to know in advance what will happen month by month, and please begin to watch our projects on farsightprime.com. There are projects of every type, from archaeological, political, religious, history, ET activities, and much, much more. Just go and take a look. And without further ado, here is the December 2024 ET board meeting that occurred in our Atlanta studio right here at Farsight. All right, everyone. I want to thank everyone, including our 2 guests, for being here for this ET board meeting. They're feeling pretty calm, but I have been having high levels of expectation. They're really calm, and I've been having high levels of expectation with regard to this meeting because we are in a situation where last month they announced that the UFOs are going to start showing up all over the place, all over the world, and we should just go out with normal cameras and take pictures and they'll be there. We announced it. We had the board meeting on the 13th of November. We published it on the 15th of November, and around the 18th of November, it happened, and it's getting more and more and more. And I'm a little bit concerned because, can I say this? Yeah, they say go ahead. I'm a little bit concerned because the powers that be are trying to downplay it now. they're trying to say that these are just, DJI drones or drones that American manufacturers make, and there's no concern, and they're trying to push it off the front pages. Yet clearly, these drones are in all different these things, these objects, these ships are in all different shapes and sizes. A lot of them are orbs, and I've seen not a single picture of anyone with a propeller. So, but anyway, there's anomalous aspects. So I can just shut up now, and they'll talk. What next? Okay. They're glad that we're here, and they're glad that they're being noticed. They're being noticed for the first time in major numbers. They have not been sending their ships in large numbers over the planet ever before. This is new for them. The ships that you've been seeing in the past were occasional ships of theirs, but very often they're ships of what Courtney and Farsight calls the bad ET ships. And so this is new for us to be putting it in, and this is a campaign. You might as well call it a campaign, because that's exactly what it is, and it's just a beginning, opening salvo, and there's going to be much more to come. The idea is that there's an information blockade with the bad ETs controlling the media and the power of the political elite across basically the entire planet, and that they do not want this to actually happen. They actually, in Courtney, I'm adding now that they do have these written agreements between the bad ETs and the U.S. government and other governments, but they have these written agreements, and that secrecy is part of the written agreement. So us doing what we're doing, okay, you guys take over. Us doing what we're doing is totally new, and they do definitely. The powers that be and the bad ETs, they do not want this to happen. Okay, so this is a campaign. I'm sorry. They just told me not to worry. I'm doing okay, they said. But this is a campaign, and it's going to get more. The expected should be the unexpected. So Courtney wants to ask about whether big ships are going to arrive, ships that are unmistakably not drones, but big things that just are huge. And yes, of course, they're actually sort of chuckling about that. They're literally chuckling about that. It's like they're wondering what they're going to be enjoying the circus themselves. Actually, they're enjoying it themselves. They're going to be showing up. They're fully defended. They cannot be shot down by the American Secret Space Program, nor can they be shot down by the bad ETs. They're fully defended, and they're going to be showing up with the big ships. And yeah, it is a surprise. It's a surprise. It's a big surprise. But yeah, the big ships are going to be showing up, and no one's going to be making any claims about them being DJI drones or human-made drones or anything like that. But this is the beginning salvo, and it's going to be getting more and more. And the idea is to cause a complete collapse of the information control system of the powers that be. And you should all be able to see the information control system working full blast and trying to control the information that's coming out. And Courtney wants to talk about, I can leave that off, the excuses that the government is putting out with regard to what these things are, and that the mainstream news media outlets are still focusing on the idea of drones, of human-made drones made in factories here in the United States and around the world, and using different technologies, Chinese technology. They actually thought it was quite comical when the government tried to float the idea that it was Chinese tech given to Iranian to put into an Iranian mothership that was launching the drones. So you can expect more types of crazy things like that. And in addition, can I add that? Yeah. In addition, there are going to be legitimate situations where the government is going to be putting out large numbers of regular human drones and trying to take pictures of them and trying to say, see, it's just that. So you can disregard everything else because of just that. But they won't be able to do that when the large ships show up. So this is to summarize, they want to say this is a campaign and no one should stop watching. They really want to emphasize that. Go outside and look up. And nobody should stop watching. We are not afraid of anybody. No one's going to shoot us down like they're saying, like the government officials are saying. We're going to have to shoot them down. Or the reason, and many government officials are saying, don't shoot them down. They know they shouldn't shoot us down. If they shoot us down, they're shooting at the wrong people. Then we're obviously able to defend ourselves. So under no circumstances should you stop looking up, and do not listen to what the government's saying. Do not listen to what the major media is saying when they try to excuse it and say it's not this, it's not that, and they try to put stories out about its American manufacturers and things like that. There's no possible way this could happen worldwide the way it's happening. If it was just any type of nation or manufacturer trying to do this. They do have situations where they have lots of small drones that operate in displays that they use, for example, in China. But this is nothing like that. This is nothing like small DJI drones. So the emphasis that they want me to say right now is that this is a campaign, and you should be enjoying it. You should not be afraid. The American people, same as Russian people, Ukrainian people, European people, African people, Australian people, Asian people, no matter where you are, no matter what country you are, no fear. We are not going to attack anything, but there are going to be different disinformation attempts, huge numbers of disinformation attempts. They're going to be trying to blame it on absolutely everybody, but we're going to keep upping the ante so that they cannot blame it on anybody. Can I ask? Yeah, they said absolutely. Okay, I'm going to say this. What we are trying to do is we're trying to do this, but we do not want a situation. Can I say it like that? Yeah, they say, go ahead. We do not want a situation where you look at the media, look at the political people. They're obviously not explaining what we're doing. So we do not want a situation where there is nobody to explain what we're doing. We're not flying the ships out because we're out for a Sunday picnic. We're flying the ships out to cause a reaction, to cause a thing. But there's nobody interpreting it correctly. Make no mistake about it. This is what people have to do. They have to look at Farsight. This is the only venue where we're actually showing you what we're doing. We're actually telling you what we're doing. And then right after we announce it on these Farsight videos, we're doing it. We want absolutely no ambiguity about this. We want people to make the connection between Farsight and our activities. It's all coordinated. We have been building Farsight. We have been developing Farsight. We have been making it an information storehouse, as a library, as Courtney likes to call it, for the longest time. And now is the time when people have to make the connection, connect the dots. The ships were showing up, but it's not because we're just doing it randomly. And if we were to rely on the government or the media or anybody else to tell you what this is actually happening, to interpret it, you know that they'd all screw it up. They'd put it into their own narratives. It's not going to work. There is only one venue that we have authorized at this very moment to talk about who we are, what we're doing, and that's Farsight, and we developed Farsight for decades. This is not something that was a small amount, and it was a heavy cooperation between ourselves and elements of the United States government that allowed Farsight to develop. So we want you to know, right this very moment, we're going to be telling you what we're going to do. We're going to be announcing it at Farsight, and then you're supposed to go out and actually do it. Don't believe anybody else that's telling you stuff or speculating this stuff out. We have an authorized human distribution center for this type of information. We had to have somebody on this planet that would tell you the truth. We set it up. It took us decades to do this, actually a lot longer, going back a huge number of years, and now it is set up. So watch the show. But one thing they want to say is that they're having fun doing this. They're really having fun doing this. They're even chuckling. They're smiling right now, right there. They're smiling. And they want the human population on this planet to be happy, to be joyous. They're not doing anything to disrupt people. They're not doing anything to hurt people. And we want everyone to be happy when they see the drones, or when they see they don't want to call them drones, when they see the ships. And when you see other things happening, like fake drones or other drones or U.S. government drones or whatever kind of drones they're actually sending up, they're trying to disguise what we are actually doing. But look, there's a lot of things that are just plain orbs and other shapes that you're going to see. Huge shapes and all different altitudes that are way higher than what drones can do. And we're coming in massive formations, and it's all being captured. We want it to be captured on video. So they're getting ready for me to shut up now, but they want me to say one more thing. We want to say This is like a circus. You're supposed to go to a circus and have fun. You're supposed to enjoy this. This is a show you're supposed to smile at when you see the ships. And we're going to be putting our ships over increasing numbers of people. It's very carefully calculated to expand out, and as to expand out to get more attention. And we're not going to go away. And don't worry about anybody that's putting out disinformation. They're not going to be able to use the disinformation forever. It's all going to go flat. And when they see the larger ships, it's absolutely crazy for anyone to say that's the DJI drone. So the issue is, don't stop. Keep the smiles on and be happy when you see these drones or when you see these ships. They don't want me to call them drones. When they see these ships, be happy. This is us. And when you see the other people sending out their stuff, including things where they may try to be scaring people, that's not us. That's not us. So you're going to be able to, we will keep upping the ante until it's absolutely unambiguous that no matter what the opponents actually try to do, they will not be able to match us, including the bad ETs. They know what we can do, and they know we can defend ourselves, and we are not scared at all about them. Not even the slightest bit. We are way more dominant militarily, and we can defend ourselves. And they're really being adamant about there. Nobody should question whether we can survive or whether we can deal with the bad ETs. There's only one issue that's at stake. We need the people, the masses, to rise up. We need the masses to see what's going on and to know that their governments have been lying to them and that they have been cooperating with the bad ETs. What we want is full disclosure, nothing more. We want the end of this damn secrecy. That's it, just the end of secrecy. We're not invading. There's a stupid rumor going around that there's an alien invasion going on. That is the stupidest idea you can ever... The alien invasion happened many, many thousands of years ago. This place is an occupied planet. We're not an invading people. We're a rescue force, and we're trying to rescue you. There's no alien invasion going on, and those people who are saying that there's an alien invasion are spreading disinformation. There's nothing like that. We're the friends. We're the cavalry. We're the people coming to help you, and be happy when we're here. We're not ever going to hurt anybody. We're here to help people. Guys, you may be having more, but I'm getting sort of a whiplash. Yeme, they want you to go next.
Why me?
I don't know. They said, look at Yeme.
I'm just... Okay, so this dude's singing, and that's why I've been laughing the whole time.
Yeah, they're happy. They're absolutely giddy. They're well, not giddy, but they're happy. They're sort of giddy.
Yeah, they're very happy. Do y'all know I'm ADHD? Y'all can't be throwing songs in my head when this is important.
They say that we were very frustrated because we were waiting so long for this moment, and they just said, you have no idea how long we've been waiting. We've been waiting for thousands of years. They're way more frustrated than we are, so they're happy because the moment has arrived. Okay, Yemi, go ahead.
Yeah, basically what he said, we're all hearing the same things. This is... Courtney, you give me anxiety when you talk so fast.
Yeah, they were just pumping this stuff out, though. I was just trying to keep up.
I think I'm just now breathing. I just realized I was holding my breath the whole time. Okay, so you basically said everything, Courtney. The bottom line here, that I've been catching on to is the blatant excitement and of what is going on, how they no longer have to hide. They no longer have to hide. They're making their way. They are protected. They can't be shot down anymore. And they're saying that if the government finds a way to, dismantle this operation, by then it'll be visible, it'll be seen, and people will know it's happening. So it can no longer be secretive. I'm hearing that okay, so this song keeps playing in my head. I don't know why. Don't stop believing. This has been like on repeat in my head, and I'm like, what is going on here?
Is it from them, or is that?
Yeah.
I see.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you. So so they realize I speak through music. So they've been communicating with me through music since you've been talking, and I thought I was being distracted, but in reality it was a message. So now that I've caught on to everything, they do want people to believe. They say that a lot of people are going outside, even children, parents are not believing their children. And so they want you to believe. They want you to understand that these things are real. Okay. Basically, there's no way you can possibly think that you're the only creatures in this galaxy. So why not even just give it a try? These guys are a little sarcastic. I like him. He's my new buddy. Yeah, why not even give it a try? Just look up. Keep your eyes open. And when we're saying keep your eyes open, it's not necessarily just like your visible, blinking eyes, but like keep yourself open to possibility instead of allowing yourself to be smacked down by lies, by things that are blatant lies when there's blatant truth in front of you. Move accordingly as one. There's much that is going to be happening here to take your eyes off of what's truly happening. There are more vaccines being made. There are more sicknesses being spread around. There are wars that are happening physically on this planet. And it's just a lot of coercion and disarray that's moving about within this space to keep you from seeing the truth. They're keeping you in your house. They're keeping you in your space. They're keeping you out of work. Everything is work from home. You have no reason to go outside anymore. They're implementing anxiety and depression and giving out medicines. He called it something else, but I translated that to medicine. Okay, giving out medicines or things to distract you from the truth of who you are within you that is able to truly see what is going on here. They are blinding you. They are pulling the shades down, and they want you to stop. Open the door, pull up your blinds, roll down your windows, and just look up. And when, oh, that's real sweet. And when they're saying just look up, they're not necessarily saying in reference to our ships. They're saying look up in reference to yourself. I'm catching an undercurrent in why he's so excited, and that is because he knows that this planet has been placed in a state over the last 5 years, has been placed in a place of disarray, of discord, of chaos, to the point where now there's inner chaos within yourselves as a people. There's inner chaos within yourselves as a people and within your government, to the point where now you can't look up for yourself. So why else would you look up for something else that is being put here on this planet to try and assist you in what is necessary during the bigger portion of the war that is to come? We can't do this without you. They're saying, they can't do this without us. They can't do this without everybody being on board and really and truly having belief within themselves that, hey, there's some buffoonery going on here. Wanted to say something else. There's some things going on here. Open your eyes. I'm hearing So it's coming across very poetic. it's coming across as listen to the wind. When you hear or feel the wind, take a moment to really search in the frequency for the sounds, because you can hear our ships, you can hear our movement, you can hear us trying to communicate with you, right? But if you're not going to see what you don't want to see. But once you open yourself to the knowledge and the understanding that we exist, that they exist, everything will start to bloom. Look at the clouds. Yeah, look at the clouds. They're saying they're within the nature. Some of the things are blending into the spaces, and yes, they're making them breaking down their shields, but they're still in a space of where it's like if I have a microphone and then I put a cloth over this microphone, there's something there that's not that cloth. And that's kind of what it's looking like to you. So really and truly, really and truly open up your space to witness what is actually here. So I'm laughing because he's talking to me directly. Because I just wrote a post on Facebook complaining about why all my friends are seeing spaceships and I'm not. And you're like, dude, we're right here. Like, you can see me, you're just not looking. And I'm getting yelled at right now. I'm not yelled at, but I'm getting kind of like reprimanded. Like, dude, you talk to us every day and you're going to act like you can't see me, like standing in front of you, like over your house, like your son. Wow. Okay. So like your son was just looking and pointing at us and you're sitting here like, nope, that's an airplane, baby. Like they're really like going in on me right now about my own dealings in this space. And so I think that's really hilarious. These guys are a hoot. They're pretty great. This is all I have for now because they're making me laugh and I can't function.
It's okay. We'll go around. Go ahead, Aziz.
So one of the perceptions I was picking up earlier was one of, if you sort of saw the population as a row of depleted batteries, they kind of look like a gray chain link fence. So each one of the cells of a gray chain linked fence being an individual. It's that was a source of a bit of melancholy to them because that is, it represents sort of a thought prison that people were in, where they, if you think of culture itself as an extrapolation of thought, and you're living a life where you're moving within these sort of cells of culturally designed concepts, then there's very little room for you to really critically think or analyze something that doesn't come from a source within the culture. And that results in basically a thought prison, a mind prison. And that is one of the things that I think is really being attacked by whatever you would call, I would call it a psychological operation, that these mass sightings of drones, UAPs, UFOs, everything, from the ones that look more like they're FAA compliant with the lights over New York and New Jersey, or the ones that don't look like that at all and are very much spheres, elongated things, triangular things. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that's been flying around the internet lately that is just obviously something that is not going to be found at your local airports. But it's when we're going around and we're seeing all of those things and we're seeing what that's actually doing, it's actually breaking people out of that chain link fence metaphor of a thought prison. It breaks people out of it simply, not necessarily like they run to the concept of aliens and just like fall in love with it, even though that does happen to a bunch of people. I mean, I would say I'm in that box, but it doesn't necessarily do that to everybody. But what it definitely does is it erodes the trust that people had in the feedback loop of that chain link fence thought prison. And that feedback loop is quite potent if that trust isn't eroded, because it's like, you have thoughts that are molded by your culture, and your culture is molded in return by your thoughts. And there's like this simulacra, this like feedback loop that happens between minds and the collective. And that needed to be shaken up to the point where people, at the very least, turn to their own critical thinking in even a subconscious way, because they simply just didn't trust the information sources that made up the bulk of that network of thought, that internet of prison, which basically made people think in standard formats. And those standard formats are literally just small-minded thinking, and the majority of the population has really been stuck in that for centuries. And it's in the idea of having a disclosure event, or having something where things are ratcheting up, which is I see perceptions of that where these larger ships, as you were talking about, are going to show up, and more things are going to show themselves in front of the public's eyes. That stuff is going to basically, if the status quo isn't eroded sufficiently before then, as weird as it may seem, those things will sort of bounce off of a brick wall if the people aren't sufficiently detached from that thought prison before those things come up. Because if you do have a mass sighting of very large ships show up in Washington, D.C., but people are really entrenched in the thought prison, these ridiculous things like the Iranian drone theory that came out on Fox News, people will still be sort of attracted.
It wasn't a Fox News thing. It was it came out from a congressman.
Congressman. Oh, okay, yeah, a congressman thing. Well, it was there's still concepts like that. People need to be sufficiently eroded to see that, like, okay, that's ridiculous. And have such a high level of distrust for these prison guard thought mechanisms. That bigger events are really going to impact them, because if that doesn't happen, then people are going to be susceptible to that sort of manipulation.
Now, Aziz, you're talking as if you were interpreting what was going on before. Do you have anything live that they're telling me that they're talking to you directly right now, and are you getting anything live right now?
I just think what they're saying is that there's a mixture of events that are going on, and there's a mixture of players, I perceive, as well. Because when they're talking about a mixture of players and a mixture of events, once again, I'm seeing like the variety of shapes of the crafts and stuff like that. But I also feel like there's a heavy emphasis on that there are human factions within these military groups that are alongside what they're doing. It's not just like we call it the good ETs and then say this versus everything else, but that's sort of just like a catch-all term. I think there's just a heavy amount of good ET aligned military groups that are just in those sort of secret military group sects. But you see evidence of that on just regular mainstream news when you see that in the Pentagon there are generals in two different offices. One of them says, hey, David Grush, we have to talk about UAPs and UFOs. They're pushing that narrative. And then other generals in the same building are talking about there's no such thing as aliens. What are you talking about? These are all classified things. There's nothing to talk about here. So when you look at those sort of past events and you compare it with these perceptions now that say that there's a mixture of non-surface structures, a mixture of these forces that are sort of all coming together to sort of push these mass sightings events, if I could just call them that as a catch-all term, then you realize that it's a very complicated thing. And there's a bit of a conflict from the highest levels of extraterrestrials fighting extraterrestrials, but also here in the more human world of just seeing surface humans in these high status groups in conflict with each other. And that's something that we're watching in real time.
One thing I'm picking up, can I mention it? Yeah, they say go ahead. Can I? Is it okay? Yeah, go ahead. Is that, can I say it? Yes.
Stop asking and
just
talk.
I'm just checking with them each time to make sure they don't mind me, because sometimes I want to make sure, okay, they want me just to talk. They're very appreciative, and they want everybody to understand the bravery of the very large section in the military, in particular the United States military, that has allowed this to happen. That we at Farsight could not have operated. We would not have been able to do anything if there wasn't a large section of the U.S. military that supported us. that they have been cooperating with the good ETs, or as Courtney calls them. And we want the entire planet to know that it's not, that the whole military is not working with the bad ETs and just supportive of the bad ETs. They're divided. And those who have been quietly, not announcing, they have not been able to disclose everything. They've not been able to sort of fire hose treatment of tell everybody what's been going on, because that has to be done through official channels. Ultimately, political stuff has to be done. But they are incredibly brave. These are military people that are serving in uniform, that have been working behind the scenes to allow this to occur, and that we would not be here with our ships if we did not have support from some elements of the United States government, and in particular with an incredibly, they're really emphasizing, incredibly brave people within the United States military that have risked everything in order to allow this thing to occur. And that if the entire United States military was opposed to this and aligned with the bad ETs, we would not be able to get to first place. We would not have been able to protect Farsight. We would not have been able to do anything. So we want everybody to know that you're not up against an entire establishment, including all of the military, that all wants to do bad things. It's just not the case. It's divided. You just haven't been hearing about the brave stories that do occur. You just haven't been getting those stories in the news about the brave people. And when people come for congressional hearings and talking about the UFOs and talking about UAPs and so on, that those are evidence that they couldn't do that unless there were large sections of the U.S. military in the Pentagon that was supporting of that. So what Aziz just said is true. You get one person coming out saying that the crash retrieval program is existence, and yes, they are our ships that are being crashed, that are being shot down. So they are our ships that are seduced into situations where they're a little bit vulnerable, and then they get shot down by the U.S. secret space program. But you know that there are elements that are obviously trying to tell people about that. That's why those congressional hearings occur, and those people still have their security clearance from the Pentagon. So there is other elements. You can just think of it as a big dividing line right down the center of the Pentagon, where half want people to know about stuff that's going on, and the other half want it to be hushed up. But you don't hear about the half that wants everything to be disclosed. But those people are incredibly brave human beings on this planet, and they work in the government, in your own military, and do not even be hesitant for 1 second to know that they exist. There's more things that they do that we're not talking about right now. There's lots more things that they do that we're not talking about right now, including some of the stuff that you're, like when the government says that they don't know what the drones are, or they don't know what's going on. There are pieces of the military that are stopping some elements of disinformation from coming out. So they're actively fighting. This is a war happening behind the scenes. And just know that there are people in the U.S. military that are, and other militaries in other countries, but in terms of the United States, there are people, and we cannot emphasize enough how brave those people are. They were given no rewards whatsoever. They're just basing it on what they believe must be true. Okay, I'm going to shut up now.
I'm sorry, you go.
One question was just asked to me. It was a rhetorical question, but it was a question that was asked to me while you were speaking. And it is, how does one have a congressional hearing about something that doesn't exist?
I know, that's exactly. That's a great point.
Right? Take off your blindfolds. Take off your masks, the stupidity mask, the oblivion mask, the mask of I don't ask, don't tell. It's here. It's right here, and it's in your face. And we have half a community, half a government trying to stop it from showing, and the other half trying to show. So if someone's trying to stop something from happening so bad, that means it's happening.
Yeah, I would say that probably all of the FAA compliant looking drones that are, which is not all the drones that are on video in the New Jersey and Brooklyn, New York area, those are probably all coming from the elements of the secret Space Force groups that are military earthborn groups. I like that's my interpretation of those ones. But if you look on the internet, there's also videos in those same areas of triangular shaped ships that are very clearly massive. They're like the size of like one or two of those city blocks, and I mean, I would say that those are probably also involved in those higher levels of secret space program military groups. And the fact that those things are happening is and the fact that it's not being commented upon is probably indicative of this same sort of back and forth between these groups that you were watching, the division that we're seeing, where it's basically you have military groups that are just saying like, okay, well, if you're gonna keep blocking us from getting this stuff across, we're just gonna throw sort of a military parade over the skies of New York.
And a lot of the ships are swarming in huge numbers over military bases.
Yeah,
They've even had to close some military bases because of the swarming of the ships.
yeah.
And President Trump, actually, soon to be President-elect Trump, he was going to make a trip, and I forget where it was. He was going to make a trip to the Northeast someplace, and he had to cancel the trip just yesterday because there were so many of these ships flying around. And he said it publicly in a press conference. So he said he's not going to go. There's just too many of these things going around. So obviously,
What are the words he used? He said there's too many what going around?
he may have used the word drones or objects, but he said that the government knows what they are, but he's not. But they're, for some reason, they're holding it back.
I think he said the military, but yeah, it's still those.
He said, yeah, there's no way in the world that they don't know what these things are, but they're holding it back. Apparently, they may be even not telling him everything. So
Of course not.
I think what we're really seeing is a change of management in the Earth Corporation. If you think of the whole planet as a big corporation, we're seeing a change of management, and it's a reluctant change of management in which the old people, not meaning age, but the old guard, the old established leaders are being pushed out, and it's happening kind of forcefully. And I think the reason why I want to talk about it like a corporate model is because I think if you look at a corporate takeover, there's a big emphasis on trying to keep the assets of the corporation, and that's the civilization, the people, the work output of the planet of Earth. That work output is being preserved to the best degree possible by the approach that I think we're all seeing of this takeover, and that's not going to be promoted, or that type of story is not going to be talked about in the media, because the media is, first and foremost, is a propaganda outlet to direct the people through those chain link fence thought mazes. So it's that's just my opinion.
yeah, the
there.
media falls back to old patterns as soon as they have a chance to get the mainstream narrative going again.
Yeah.
Why don't we get Shantae Intisamen Kamaya to start?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so with these beings, I'm just getting a somewhat familiar feel, like they're very comfortable here, or like they've been watching just human activity for many times, many different time periods, so that they're aware of human behavior, and this playful energy that we're getting from them also, to me, is kind of coming off a little bit like condescending, in a way of like, this is what we've done, this is what we're doing, we're showing our ships, but what are you doing? Are you meeting us halfway? Or they're wanting us to make this connection. So what I'm also seeing is what's kind of like a flow chart of some sort, where like there's these beings' actions are human actions and how they coincide, and they're not disappointed in this moment, but they're very much aware of how things can go from here based on our actions. So they're showing all of these ships, and they just want to know, like, what are we going to do? And even with Farsight, many months ago, we've shared how you can look at their ships and do your own analysis of what you see and share that. And they're just emphasizing still that that's important, and continuing on, because this is just like the little beginning, potentially. So they're just they're happy, or not, maybe not happy, but they're excited, or kind of in that period where things are about to be a little different, but maybe not exactly what's going to be different. But they're wanting us to meet them halfway, at least meet them halfway, like action wise.
Yeah, that's coming across.
They need more
clear.
effort. Is what
That's
it's
coming
feeling
across
like.
clear. They want humans to step up at this point. There's only so much they can do on their side.
I get a sense that that's part of the melancholy feeling that's attached to the viewing a population as a chain-linked fence. That's that there's just a melancholy energy with that. Sort of not exactly just general sadness, more just the idea of pitying somebody. And pitying is sort of a level of sadness that you feel for somebody else because you don't think that they're able to help themselves. And that's a place where we shouldn't be as people. So yeah, I think that's a big part of breaking ourselves out of unproductive thought patterns.
What I'm getting from just all of this is, and it's been said at least 4 times by now, but like it's really strong of it can't just be us. By us, I mean I'm speaking in terms of the extraterrestrials. It can't just be them. Do your part. Like, we're here. You've called for your help, right? And then you're just gonna overlook us. So what the fuck we doing? That's how I translated what I'm hearing right now. Is like, yes, you guys said it very clearly. This race, this humankind, we're so full of ourselves that we miss the bigger picture. Get off your high horse and do your part for your America, for your world, for your country, for your universe, right? We're coming here to help you.
I get the idea they're speaking directly to the masses at this point because they're not expecting the political elite to make the first move.
It's the masses. We can't do it. The political elite and anybody else in these different avenues and factions and whatnot, they're not going to make the first move. They feed off of what the masses accepts and what they don't accept and what they feed us. They're not going to go, let me go and tell them the truth about something real quick. Everything's a fucking lie. Everything is a lie. From how we sell our gas to how they sell the food. Why are they going to tell the truth about an interdimensional species? So you have to look and open your eyes yourself. You have to be the one to pull the cloak off of your eyes and stop allowing the little things in your ear to feed you the buffoonery for what not to look at. It's been embedded in this race for eons, for generation. Oh, sweetie, that was a bad dream. No, your baby has a sixth sense. No, there's no monsters under your bed, but I saw a fallen angel outside. Open your eyes. And it's very loud. It's like, we're here, and yeah, we're being condescending. I like this dude. Yeah, we're being condescending. Yeah, we're sitting here saying these things. We're happy about what we're doing, but what are you doing? What part are you taking? Stop sitting on your behind and let's get this together. they're saying it in a completely different way, but
Yeah, you're getting the basic. You're getting
yeah,
the
but
message out.
like let's get this together, you know, and no, the government and the elite and all of the beings, they're not. It is split in half, so there's only so much the half that's on our side can do without you.
Sam, and then Kamaya.
Well, with all these sightings happening, I think there's a large question of how are we gonna deal with as an Earth population? How are we going to deal with the next step? Because it is a ginormous step of open contact, of disclosure, of having people who have never ever considered the fact of, oh, alien life exists, or there are, we've been getting visited for many years. If we're all being honest, the amount of people who are open to this idea are very few. We're very few in numbers. So how is this kind of open contact, how are we going to prepare people? Because in the past, when there's been a new group entering, when there's been a group that enters like this new area, people look at it as a hostile takeover, invasion, colonization, that kind of thing. So we're putting out this information that, these are good groups, but we still need to talk about a plan of how we're going to help people deal with this. And I was asking, them that, and I'm getting a sense of, okay, they've been putting the pieces together slowly, right? I mean, there's, like Courtney was saying, we have a whole library of it. There's also been that aspect of slowly dismembering trust in the government, so that we're not just fully like on board when the government says jump, we jump, right? So there's small things like that, but yeah, we really do need to talk about a plan moving forward. And I'm getting a sense from this, it's a woman, right?
I felt
Am
it
I
was a
okay.
woman.
Okay. Yeah, she's kind of like, she's giving me the message that, all right, well, hopefully within every sect they've planted a few people, like the disclosure movement. It's significant enough to where there's little pieces, little support systems in each group. So we're gonna have to step up, but let's not fool ourselves into thinking there's not going to be any collateral damage. There's definitely going to be collateral damage moving into this. Getting a sense that kids are going to play a huge part in being open about it. Being accepting, because that's kind of what kids are like. They, no matter how different you are, they're pretty open and accepting. But people are gonna need help for sure. Oh, and speaking of dreams, I think we have to pay attention, because like yesterday I dreamt we had established movement back and forth from the moon and Mars. So maybe that's coming.
I think we're all being hit by dreams.
Yeah,
by big time.
Yes.
Everyone's shaking their heads at this point. Yes, and nodding their heads, rather, not shaking, but nodding their heads. But dreams are hitting us constantly. You have to understand that can I say that? They said, go ahead. They told me not to keep asking.
They're yelling
if I
at
can say.
me every time you ask, can I? So
I know,
can you
that
stop
they're getting-
asking
yeah.
and just say it?
But the dreams are when we disconnect from our body every single night. Everybody, the whole planet, and then what you like to call your higher self, but that's your real self is free momentarily until you reconnect with the brain. That's why it's so hard to remember your dreams when you wake up, because you had experiences that were not in the physical brain, and the brain doesn't have the memory of those things. So it has a vague idea from the dreams, and so the dreams are what your real self is trying to get you to remember. And then when it comes back in, it's got to compete against the mainstream news and the political people that are trying to get you to think one thing. And when you get the truth from when you leave the body at night and you're sleeping, but you're actually you're actually in your Isby self is actually awake. The reason the enslavement keeps happening is when you pop back into the physical body, when you wake up, you don't remember everything that happened outside of it, and you have to process things through the brain. And so the enslavement happens when the authorities keep pumping information into your physical brain through the ears and our eyes. That's just lies. And so it's very hard to break the society out. So you have to have some demonstration that you are bigger than your physical body. And that's one of the reasons we had to do this with Farsight, so that you can really see that's fundamental. There is no way that this planet can be saved if everyone doesn't understand that your physical body is not you, that your real self is not the physical body. And when the physical body drops off and dies, you're still as fully alive as you ever were. And unless you make that connection, unless you understand that you're really bigger than that, you'll never understand the extraterrestrial existence, because everybody in the whole galaxy lives on the understanding that that they are essentially what Courtney likes to call Isbys, people who are just for the purpose of being, someone who is just for the purpose of being. That what you call a soul or spirit is the you, it's not the body. And you don't, and they think it's, and Courtney likes to make the idea that the ETs look at the whole planet Earth as zombies, and that's actually factually correct. We look at the whole planet Earth as zombies because you don't remember who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't have, and you fight and you fight and you hurt each other. And here we are trying to wake up a whole planet of zombies, and it's never been done at this magnitude with so many zombies all at once. Anyway,
and they don't want to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah,
you know,
they
don't want to just be like, here we are, because like Intisam said, it'll look like an invasion, but like they've been here.
Yeah, it'd be very easy for them to come in really fast and to trigger panic, and they don't want to trigger panic because that would fit into the zombie fear, the paranoia, and that would just lose everybody. So they don't want to trigger panic.
They should show up though at these alien conferences. Like, go there.
Well, actually, they are there.
Well, I know they're there, but like, materialize.
Oh yeah. Well,
Go there, materialize.
The trouble is that the bad ETs have representatives that are in the New Age community that show up there, and sometimes those people say they're calling the ships, and the people go out and they actually see ships, but the ships are the bad ETs.
Those are the bad ETs that we're seeing during the C5 shindigs.
Yeah, sometimes, and so it's a means of controlling that population. So there's a mixed group with those.
I mean, but like that's just like having, and this is just me throwing stuff out there because I'm hearing from all points here, like that's just like having two agents, secret agents, right, from different factions in the same building.
The issue is chaos and confusion.
Cannot they see each other even when they're not in physical form?
Well, the issue... Oh, they see each other.
Right, so...
But the humans have trouble seeing them. It took us years to get to the point where we can see them.
Differentiating between who is for them and who is against them, and not being able to succumb to, okay, I'm here. All right.
Well, imagine seeing two humans, one of opposing sides for different governments and someone like them standing in front of you. They both look human, and it's not till you talk with them that you find out
which one is which.
Which one is which. So it's sort of hard for that to happen. But anyway, without further ado, Kamaya, you're being called upon to give your blessings on this and tell us what's going on in your head.
Basically, I just perceive that they want people to talk to each other about what's going on. It's one thing to sit on your phone and watch us every week or so, but then you don't do anything with it. Like, your mom doesn't even know you watch us. Your mom should know you watch us. Your mom should know what's going on. Your brother should know what's going on. You should talk about it. Because how else are we going to spread the word and open everybody's eyes? Because, only so many people are on the internet. Only so many people bother to sit down and actually take in this type of content. So tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your dad.
Tell your wife.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Basically, that's kind of what I was perceiving, and everything else that everybody has already said.
No, that's interesting because we didn't really cover that. You're raising the missing link issue, which is not everybody's connecting to the internet and listening to News Nation on YouTube or whatever. They're not all listening to Ross Coulthard. They're not all listening to us. And what you're saying is, those who are listening, open your damn mouth and talk to your parents, your friends, your relatives, your brothers, your sisters.
Share the posts.
I-
Y'all share everything else.
I think it's more than just sharing specific YouTube videos, but if you just communicate about the topic in general without even plugging any sort of source, but just speaking about it like it's something matter of fact, because it is matter of fact. But if you're watching this type of channel, I'm pretty sure you've already come to the realization that this is a matter of fact part of life. But the more that you talk about it just in a public place, just with people in your community who may not be in this sort of zone, but just sort of speak about these sort of things just in the same way that you would speak about how just any sort of drama would be going on in the Middle East or Europe, just a regular thing, then it helps dismantle or extend the scope in which people are able to operate in their own critical thinking spheres, which without that type of casual conversation, it is pretty much indefinitely ensnared within the thought prisons of this chain link fence. And it's that's a place that we all need to get out of. And if we do get out of it, then the events like more mass sightings, more other triggering events, they're going to be more potent. They're going to influence the collective a lot more.
One thing I am getting from them is that all of our audience should recognize you are going to be attacked. Meaning, when you say things about the sightings and everything, people are going to say, oh, no, those are just DJI drones. And they're going to say, see, I saw a picture on the news. See, it has propellers, and they shot it down. They're going to do things to dismiss what it is. And that's part of what they're up against. But there's only so much that our side can do. But do not worry. We have more than enough resources, they're saying, to counteract that. We knew that was going to come no matter what. So when they say, oh, no, these drones are out there or they're doing that, we're going to come with the larger ships. And it's all going to be in stages. And so, like, okay, you have a drone the size of a football field. Okay, do you have a drone the size of a city? That type of thing. These larger ships are going to be coming along. But we're not going to do it all at once. It's going to be stages. And so they want to say is, when you're being attacked, don't worry about it. That's to be expected. They're going to try to dismiss it and say, oh, no, it's just this, it's just that. The other thing they're saying is this is not a short campaign. This is not going away like tomorrow or next week. This is going to be going on straight through the summer. This is a longer campaign, and so that every time the opposition tries to dismiss it and say, oh, it's just this, these are just legally flying aircraft or whatever they're saying, we're going to up the ante so that there'll be a sort of a next and a next and a next until finally the information control system will blankety blank collapse. And that's what we want.
I wonder how much disclosure we're actually going to end up getting, because I do think that we're 100% on a path of just disclosure in the sense of the recognition of extraterrestrials, the recognition of a certain degree of suppressed technological devices, and a certain degree of expansion in terms of just the movement of the Earth's civilizations. I don't think that a lot of the stuff that's like the more gruesome aspects of what we found in our remote viewing stuff, the heavy human trafficking, the heavy sort of intense treatment of children that we've seen in our sessions, I have doubts that all of that is going to stop in this or come out in this disclosure stuff. I do think that a lot of it will come out, but the reason why I'm sort of speaking about it in that sort of department is because at the end of the day, relationships tend to be, by a large degree, transactional in a foundational sense. That doesn't mean that there isn't room for emotional support, love, all those types of good emotions on top of that. But I do feel like when we're talking about people saving us and stuff like that, I think that's a nice way to talk. It's a pretty way to sort of like, present a story to a child. But it's also, if you look into the more nitty-gritty concrete aspects of what's actually going on, we're seeing a corporate takeover from a manager who's trying to buy a business, and the business is still supposed to be a business. It's a for-profit business. The planet Earth is a for-profit business, and it's supposed to be, it's being objectively underutilized right now. The business is being run into the ground by the people who are the old guard running the business right now, and these other people who are coming in, who we're sort of just throwing this catch-all term at them and saying they're the good ETs, but they're this hodgepodge of human groups with extraterrestrial groups with secret space program groups. These other guys who are going to take charge, they want to take the corporation in another direction, which objectively, for the people like us who are just living in the corporation as the quote-unquote employees, it is a much better lifestyle to have the corporation taken in this more expanded direction. The other direction just seems masochistic, cannibalistic, destructive. I mean, everyone's sort of seeing what's happening in the news, in the mainstream media. I mean, everything just looks masochistic, cannibalistic, destructive, sometimes in the literal sense of this sort of the evil that people are aware of just from our sessions that's going on in the world. But it's I just want to say it this way because we say a lot of these catch-all terms like good, bad, save us, all this type of stuff, but don't get it twisted to where you're sort of thinking to yourself that the root, gritty, pay your bills, contractual, this is being done for profit and power gain jungle aspect of reality is not a foundational part of what's at the bottom of these types of things. And that's sort of, I just want to emphasize that because I don't want to live in this world of delusion where we're sort of thinking to ourselves that this shift of power is just the light being shined on us. I mean, that's like half a step of way of saying that Jesus is going to rapture us all away. I mean, we want to make sure that we're always concrete in the fact that this is a civilization at the end of the day, a civilization that is based on power acquisition and profit, and that needs better management for the people who are involved to live a better life, and by living a better life, the civilization, the company itself, becomes stronger, bigger, better, and something that we can actually be proud of living in. So I wonder how much disclosure we're going to get. I think it's going to be a lot compared to where we were before. I think it's going to be like a whole new world. But whether I think it's going to be 110%, we're going to see all the goop at the bottom of the swamp, I'll believe it when I see it. But
I think what's going to happen is that the information will be available, even the worst of the information, but that different groups, different people will be able to absorb different amounts, and some people will be able to absorb only a small amount. If you wake up a zombie that's totally a zombie, what's going to happen? They'll be stunned, and they're going to be walking around. It's going to take them a long time to sort of come to their senses.
That's a good way of thinking about it, yeah. People are sponges, and they have a different capacity for how much they can absorb.
Let's end with Kamaya. Kamaya, would you like to give us a closing statement?
I mean, I feel like I said what I wanted to say, so after this, go ahead and tell your friends, tell your moms, tell your coworkers, tell your boss, tell your next door neighbor that you know what's actually going on in this world, and you'd like to inform them and awaken them as well.
Hey, actually, that is the take-home message. That is the take-home message that they wanted to say. They wanted to get everybody off their butts and saying, now it's time for humanity to step up.
Earth is a
Do
corporation.
your other job besides your main job.
Yeah.
I love her.
All right, everybody. I want to thank everyone, and I want to thank our visitors, and we'll be back next month. Yeah, absolutely. They'll be back. They're chuckling. They say, you have no idea what's in store for next month.
This dude is something.
Yeah, they're really quite humorous. They've been waiting for this for a very, very long time, and they know what's going to be staggered out over the next several months. So, okay.
I think it'll get intense.
It'll get intense. All right. So, everybody, thank you all, and thank you, our guests. And until next time.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.